Welcome back to Racing Weekly's Cheltenham Festival Preview, a podcast and YouTube show brought to you by oddschecker in association with Bet365. We are looking ahead to the big day at the Cheltenham Festival, Gold Cup Day, in the company of Steve Ryder, Willy Twiston-Davies, Pat Cooney and Gavin Lynch. Before we get into all the chat, just to let you know that Bet365 are best odds guaranteed from 8 a.m. every day of the Cheltenham Festival. There's no opt-in required, and it applies to singles, multiples, and bet boosts. T's and C's apply. Pat, tell us about it.
Yeah, well worth having. There's a lot of these horses are going to go north and south in the market, but the best odds guarantee, whatever's the biggest price you get, so good safety net to have.
All right. You might need that. But let's get into race one on day 4, and that, of course, is the Triumph. For a long time, Steve, I'll start with you here, that Sergino has been one of the bankers of the Cheltenham Festival after the way he won last time out. But, of course, there's a lot at this stage to take into account. Now, it might change by the time we get to the Friday of the festival, the Henderson form, etc.
Yeah, there are just a couple of bits, isn't there? The Nicky Henderson stable form, and also you'd want to see Milantino run well in the Boodles off a mark of 126 if you're going to be really confident and backing Sergino at odds on. He obviously beat Salvador Mundi over in France, didn't jump that well at Kempton when winning. A poor race, to be fair, first time out, but he was just brilliant on trials day. He had that proper wow factor, and he probably is a superstar in the making. The horse that I fell in love with at the DRF was Margeborough. I've been saying on this show for the last few weeks, I really do think he's going to be a top-class horse in the next couple of years. I thought he was the one to take out that spring juvenile. I think it's worth remembering that he only had one run in France before that run. Cargis, who obviously then beat him that day, had 4 runs before that, so she had a lot more experience, and I thought Margeborough ran really, really well. He's obviously going to be a chaser for the future, but for him to finish third, beaten only 2 lengths on his first start for 307 days, I thought was a really good performance. He was well entitled to fade after being headed approaching the last hurdle, but he fought on really well. That gives me real good encouragement in the Triumph that he'll be showing his stamina up the hill, and I think 6-1, 13-2 each way in this race, I thought was a fair bet with a couple of doubts around Sergino.
All right. There's obviously a strong Irish lineup here, Gavin. There's a lot of talk about Salvatore Mundi, the race that Steve refers to from the Dublin Racing Festival. I mean, a whole host there. We're not even throwing Bunting. I thought he ran a terrific race to finish fourth.
He did. He stayed on very well at the end, and he just came from Limerick Maiden. So the Spring Juvenile Leopardson was a good pointer to the Triumph every year. Look, I'd be against Sergino at the price. He's 4-6. He's a shade of odds against on Betfair, probably because of Nicky's form. And if Nicky continues that, I don't know where he'll end up. He could end up 6-4, 2-1. But he had a wow factor, but I'm just not going to back him. I'm going to go for Margeborough, same as Steve. He won in Otay last April, won very, very well. He's a gorgeous big horse. He hadn't ran since then until the Spring Juvenile. And as we've seen all winter, Willie Mullins' horses have improved so much for a run. You can pick out loads of horses, Factifile, Ballyburn, they've improved tons. He's a gorgeous big chaser in the making, perhaps. I think he could improve a lot. At least he's ran in a really strong race. I think the Burdett Road form, Milantino, it's okay, but I don't think it's crash hot. So for him to be 4-6 is a crazy price. I think it's too short. And Nicky will have to have a few winners before he SPs anything like that, I'd say, in the meantime. So, yeah, Bunting has an each-way chance, and definitely I think Margeborough would be my selection each way at 6-1.
Willie?
Yeah, look, it's a very tough one because I'm not a punter, I'm a trainer. But he said to me, which horse would you like to train in the race? It's a no-brainer, it's Sergino. Visually impressive. I saw him at Cheltenham. He's gorgeous, lovely. Like they can say, Marlborough looks a lovely, big, strong chaser. Sergino looks a chaser. He's an absolute stunning horse. And Nicky Henderson form, yes, I completely agree. I'm not backing him. But if I wanted a horse to train, I looked at Sergino. I've never seen a horse and just gone, wow. He beat a Royal Ascot winner, sprinted clear of him, of James Owen and Harry Cobden saying, this is the next best coming of Burdett Road. And he just destroyed him, blew him out the water. I mean, visually impressive. Everyone was, Burdett Road was the favourite for the Triumph at the time. Like, you can't knock a horse for doing what's put in front of him. And everything's been put in front of him, he's blown out the water. So for me, like, if I could train one horse, have one horse, Marlborough, you can make excuses for them. Sergino wins. He's not getting beaten and going, oh yeah, he's improving. Sergino could improve again. So for me, that's the horse I'd want. Like, if you're the best horse, you win. there's no excuse. And for me, Sagina's the one.
What do you think, Pat?
Well, I was lucky to be at Kelso where we sponsored on the Saturday, and on the Friday night there was a meal at one of the local hotels, and I was lucky to be enough on sitting next to Nicky Henderson on the table for the meal.
Did you do the seating plan?
Well, yeah, and I thought I'll ask him about Sagino because who knows, he could be second favourite for the Champion Hurdle next year, and he actually ran in that Constitution Hill gallop at Kempton. So he's considered good enough to work with Constitution Hill. And I asked Nicky what he thought about the horse, and he rates him very, very highly. That being said, he was slightly puzzled that he was odds-on to win a Triumph Hurdle because I think he views the horse very much as a chasing prospect. And I think they've been surprised with how much he's shown. And he's proved how versatile he is. He's won at Kempton and he's won at Cheltenham. The Burdett Road form looks red hot, but I think it seems connections were a little bit down on Burdett Road's performance that day, so he might be overrated on that basis. I don't know where I'm going with this really, because it wouldn't surprise me if he got beat, but he proved to be a really, really top-class novice chaser. I think Nicky thinks the world of him.
Yeah.
So it all comes down, we're all punters here, aren't we? Could you back him at odds on? No. Could you back him at 2-1? Yeah, definitely. Nicky would rate him very, very highly. That's what I can remember from the meal anyway.
And just to say one thing, if you go back and look at the replay of Salvatore Mundi running against Sergino in Otay, Salvatore Mundi was towards the back, made a few jumping mistakes early on, and they were actually together at the last, and Sergino wins by a length and a half or whatever. So give you a tip for next year's Supreme, Salvatore Mundi perhaps. He'll be a 5-year-old then. He's also owned by Joe Donnelly, the same as Sergino. Yeah. So that's actually a listed race in Otay, even though it's for unraced horses. It's amazing. They don't have that over here. Willy has a rough idea through Salvatore Mundi where he is with Sergino.
Okay. Right. It's that thing that we've talked about a lot, where you stand with the Henderson form. If Henderson was flying we get to Friday, you'd be confident that Sagino would see them off, but it's a bit of a question mark. So at this stage, I might have a bet each way on bunting. Next, we'll talk about the county. Obviously, traditionally, a race that if you pick the winner, you're going to be smiling. But picking the winner is going to be, I think, the hard part. Let's start with you, Willy. How do you see the county handicap hurdle this year?
A very unexciting race for us. We'll probably all be home by then with our tails between our legs. All our runners have probably been done. When Iberica Lord's gone, it all depends what gets in and doesn't get in, I suppose. Gordon's horse, King of Kingsfield's obviously a very interesting horse. But then, same time, he's done a lot being placed and only won once this year. For me, it'd be a no-bet race as always. I mean, Pat and the boys will give you more of a pointer, but it's not sort of a race I'd be looking into at this point in time. We're not going to know what the final field is because half of them could end up in the Coral Cup. Some go for the boys' race, some will want further. What's the ground? It's not an ante-post race. It's sort of what Pat decides to push out in the morning and give you some decent odds on that you might have an each-way stab at. But for me, it's a no-bet race.
We've all been trying to get Pat to push odds out, but he's not budged so far. What do you like here, though, Pat?
I like L'Eau de Sud of Dan Skelton's, and I thought his run in the Betfair was very good. Big improvement on its first run, at any rate, when it pulled up. You know, you finish second in a Betfair hurdle, that's got to give you some sort of a chance in the county hurdle, and you can back him at 12-1. I get the King of Kingsfield love in, that's been a very well-backed horse. I like his profile, Gordon Elliott, etc. I think Under Control of Nicky Henderson's might be interesting. That was a late non-runner at Kelso last week. And I think what they want, though, is dry ground with that one. So that might be one for Aintree later on. But L'Eau de Sud, as I say, look, if you're second in the Betfair hurdle at Newbury, that's good enough currency to be placed again here, I think.
All right, Steve?
Yeah, I'd be in agreement. I like L'Eau de Sud for this. Dan Skelton's won this 3 out of the last 6 seasons, so he's got a really good record in these 2-mile handicap hurdles. Was pulled up in the Greatwood, but apparently was suffering with ulcers after that. So if you look through his form and see it pulled up at Cheltenham, don't worry too much around that. Obviously, Iberico Lord beat him and is now going for the champion hurdle. That second place with a mark of 129 is £6 higher, which I'd normally place as a big negative. But if he didn't have that £6 rise, he wouldn't have actually got into this race. this is saying a lot, but if Harry Skelton can hang on to him for a bit longer, which isn't obviously guaranteed, I do think he'd have quite strong each-way claims. And the other would be Magical Zoe. If I fancy Irish Point in giving State Man a race in the Champion Hurdle, you've kind of got to fancy her here off a mark of 144. She's only £3 higher than what she is in Ireland. She finished second in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle last season. I actually think she should have won. I didn't think she was given a great ride that day. Won on a reappearance at Goran, finished less than 2 lengths behind Irish Point, albeit that she was getting nearly a stone from him. Finished second at the DRF, finished only a nose behind Zenta. They're off the same terms in this race, and I know she's been well backed for it. But I think Magical Zoe at a double-figure price and Lotus at a double-figure price. I think, yeah, you won't go far wrong with them.
Yeah, the horses are double-figure price, so you can be keen. I like Lump Sum if he got in, but I don't know whether he will. I don't know whether it's the plan, but he's a horse I like a lot. What about you, Gav?
Lotus Sud has a great chance. Iberico Lord doesn't have to take him on with him going to the champion. So, as the lad said, £6 higher, sneaks in off 135, loomed up, looked all over a winner in the Betfair Hurdle 2 out. The doubts about Harry holding on to him are certainly valid. 3 horses to mention if it's decent ground, which mightn't be. First one is So Scottish, would have a squeak at 16s. Absurd was a very good flat horse, very good run the last day at Leopardstown, and he was 4th when King of Kingsfield was 3rd. See how Slade Steel and Ballyburn get on in the meantime. If those 2 ran very well in the Supreme and in the, what is it called, the Gallaghers, is it? Yes. Novice Hurdle, they'd have a chance. But King of Kingsfield, he was a bumper horse that they used to make the running on, etc. But then they changed the tactics in the Royal Bond. He finished 2nd from the back. He bolted up at Christmas on decent ground. The 26th of December was good to yield ground at Leopardstown before it turned soft. The last day he ran well, but I think he definitely needs better ground. So for me, probably Lotus Sud each way.
Okay, Lotus Sud. Couple of votes, or certainly some interest in Lotus Sud after that excellent run at Newbury in this year's county. The next race we're going to preview is the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle. Again, Willie Mullins with a very strong hand. He's got Reading Tommy Wrong, Dancing City, High Class Hero, who's racked up a whole host of wins. Steve, can you see that the winner comes from that, or do you look outside the Mullins team here?
This is just an absolute belting race. If you look through
Really
it,
is.
High Class Hero unbeaten since joining Willie Mullins. Reading Tommy Wrong unbeaten since joining Willie Mullins. Shanna Bob unbeaten. Dancing City won at the DRF. Captain Teague has already won a Grade 1. Like, we're going to have some proper staying chasers next season. Yeah, I think it's a really good race. The one that I'd be with, and yes, obviously the Nicky Henderson stable form would be a slight worry, but would be Shanna Bob. Won a point-to-point, won a Mickey Mouse race at Plumpton over 2.5 miles, but I was really impressed with him in the Albert Bartlett trial at Cheltenham last time over this course and distance. That race actually works out really well. Coming into the Albert Bartlett at the festival, you know what I mean, Harry and Kilbrooke Storm both won that and went on to win this race. He's only rated 134, so if you look at it, he's got loads to find with the Irish, but he definitely holds a lot back. He's not the sort of horse that Nicky normally gets. He normally gets the 2-milers as opposed to these staying horses. Bobsworth won this 13 years ago, and yeah, I think Shanna Bob. I think for an unbeaten horse, trained by Nicky Henderson, owned by the Donnellys, I think 11-1 is a big price.
Okay, Willie?
I was a massive fan of Gidley Park before his last run. I thought it was really underwhelming. It was a bit disappointing. I think he's a chase in the making, so Cheltenham's probably not going to be the be-all, end-all for him. Reading Tommy Wrong just sort of seems like quite a weird one for me. He was like running in snatches the last day. Every time Darryl gave him a squeeze, he was straight back on the bridle, which shows like a horse who got speed. As soon as there's a gap, he burst through it. So I'm not sure 3 miles will really suit him. He's probably the horse I'd want to train. But just like, if Willie Mullins didn't have rags of riches, like if Twiston-Davies was training him, he'd probably be a Barring Bingham horse. I just think every time Darryl squeezed him and asked him, he was there, bang, 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 and he did the job really well. So I think for the future, definitely him. I definitely agree about Shanghai Bob. I was really impressed the twice I've seen him. But it's like the Henderson stable cloud. But yeah, obviously, my pick for the race will be Reading Tommy Wrong as long as he settles and gets into a rhythm.
All right. Steve, you got a retort?
Yeah, just with obviously Willie wondering if 3 miles is what Reading Tommy Wrong. There's quite an interesting stat. So 10 of the last 13 winners of this race had either placed or winning form over further than 2 mile 7. And there isn't many in this field that actually tick that box, and Shanna Bob is one of those.
Okay, Pat.
Anything goes on this race. This is the most bookmaker-friendly race there is on the entire card. I mean, normally coming into the Friday, we've just about got level. And then we say, when's the Albert Bartlett? Great, now we're in front.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of race, anything goes. You start with the 50-1 chances and work your way up, really. It's that sort of a race. They're classy horses at the top of the market for sure. But for whatever reason, we always get a shock. And sometimes these horses can pull up and come out and be really good novice chasers the following year. Of those at the top end of the market, I think Captain Teague's a solid enough horse, but this is one, if you're having a play spot, this is a play spot one where you can really do some damage based on the stats. This is the bookmaker-friendly race of the meeting.
Gav.
Just to make my new best friend happy here beside me, the last 10 years, the winning SP for the 10 horses?
50-1.
18-1, 18-1, 14-1, 5-1, 50-1, 33-1, 16-1, 11-1, 14-1, 33-1. And who was the horse that won at 50-1?
Manila India.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Manila Indo. Well done. But anyway, I'm just saying that the average there is at least 20-1, so it's a race that's incredibly difficult. And what catches us punters out every year is horses that win over 2.5, and everybody in the world, including the trainer, says, wait till you see this fellow over 3 miles. He will love it. Yeah. It's happened. Like, you'll see it there, No More Heroes, and there's horses like that you think they'd love 3 miles, and it just doesn't quite happen. I say it's roughly the equivalent of the National Hunt Chase for chasers. 3 miles on the new track, like they start racing coming down the hill, and that's what, 5 furlongs out. So it's a very, very tricky race. The top 8 in the bet and all have massive chances. Johnny Who, Captain Teague, Lecky Watson, Shanna Bob, Gidley Park, High Class Hero, Dancing City, Reading Tommy Wrong. When you're watching the entries each morning, Willie mightn't put out the jockeys for a couple of hours. So you don't know whether the jockeys are coming out at 11:30 or 12:30, or they have to be up by 1 o'clock. Just keep an eye out that you might find out before the bookies do which one is Paul riding. But whatever, I think Paul will probably end up riding Reading Tommy Wrong, and if he does, he'll go off 3-1. But I'm not saying he'll win, but just you will get value. Yeah.
I like Captain Teague. Last year, the stable won the race with Stay Away Fair. I think he was rated 136 when he won it. This horse was already rated 142, and he won the Challow. And traditionally, if you run Challow, you do well in the Challow. Up in trip is the key. And when he got beaten at Cheltenham on his second start over hurdles, it was pretty obvious that he is a thorough stayer. And it was staying, his stamina and his ability to stay, that got him home in the Challow in grueling conditions. So I prefer to take a chance on him each way. That is in the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle. Before we get to the Gold Cup, just time to tell you about Oddschecker's free-to-play bingo game for the Cheltenham Festival. When you play the game, you'll receive a bingo card full of horses racing on each day at Cheltenham. You'll then win prizes as your horses win or place in the races. The top prize is tickets to the Grand National Festival. All you need to enter is an Oddschecker account, so sign up or log in and play for free. Let us get to the big race, the blue ribbon of the meeting, the Gold Cup. And I will start with you, Gavin. Is it as straightforward as Galopin Des Champs to win, and then you look for an each-way play?
I don't think so. Last year he was my nap at the festival, and I done umpteen multiples. He was in most of them, and this year he's in 0 multiples.
Why?
I just think he's priced a bit short. The fact that he's had 3 runs, to me, is a negative. The John Durkin bolts up by 23 lengths at Christmas, and again in the Irish Gold Cup. Look, he's the best staying chaser we've probably seen, possibly since Cato Star in the last 14 years. I love the horse. He's maybe my favourite horse, but money is money, and I just don't fancy backing him. I see he's out to 5-4. He's out to 2.6 on the exchanges. It's not for nothing. I'd give each way a chance, Corrick Rambler, but I'm probably going to have something maybe each way in fast or slow. He's the best jumper. He's the quickest jumper in the race. Martin Brazel is a target trainer. Yes, he has 4.5 lengths to make up from the DRF, but it could be a different race. The last day, Paul could do the fractions whatever he wished. That's not going to happen this time. As I said, I love Galopin Des Champs, and I'd probably love to see him win, but I just won't put my hand in my pocket.
Okay. Pat, what about you?
Well, this is the sort of thing with Galopin Des Champs. It's all about the price, and because of the each-way angle in the race, from our point of view on our field book at the moment, Galopin Des Champs is actually a winning result for us because horses are being backed each way, and I'm sure if we end up going 4 places, that will continue to be the case. So I can imagine Galopin Des Champs being 6-4 everywhere come Friday afternoon. I like everything about him but the price. If I can give you a postcard from Kelso last week when I was up there, I spoke to Lucinda Russell. She was there with Corach Rambler. Peter Scudamore rides him in work every day, and she said the horse is in tip-top order, looking for a big run from him. I spoke to Patrick Neville, who's got the real whacker. Sam's aboard him. I know he's a big price, but he said forget the Kempton run. You'll see a better version of him going around Cheltenham. So he's going to be popular each way. And Nicky thinks Shiskin definitely will stay and will probably be on the bridle with half a mile to go. And then it's game on. So there's 3 sets of connections that are perfectly happy with their chances. Lob in Brave Man's Game, who the Nichols team think 20-1 is amazing value. So there's all these horses being backed each way. So the favourite will continue to drift in the market because he's going to end up being a good result for us. What do I fancy? I think he'll win the favourite. I know he takes a lot out of himself with his races, but I think you can look at him come Friday afternoon and think, oh, he's a lot backable now than he was a couple of weeks ago.
All right. Willie, who wins the Gold Cup?
Yeah. It's $1 million question, isn't it? I think it's a very good Gold Cup, although it's not the most exciting one in the world. I mean, Galopin Des Champs probably should. I think his performance, his last 2 runs, definitely his last run anyway, was brilliant. Fast or slows, done nothing wrong. But the first run of the year and the one, both times Fast or Slow's beaten him, I've never thought, oh, that's a true Galopin Des Champs. I never thought he was a deserved winner of Fast or Slow. He got beaten in an ultimate handicap, so I could rule him out, really. Shishkin would have won the King George. Everyone can say what they want. He would have won the King George. Has he got the guts and determination to win a Gold Cup? Not sure. I think everyone's writing off Mouse Morris's horse. I think he's a brilliant trainer and a wonderful man. The horse that won the Charlie Hall, the grey thing, whatever it's called. Gentleman's Game. I think that's... I was actually offered it as a 4-year-old before it ever ran and stupidly turned them down. Wish I had bought it now. I think he looks a lovely horse with an each-way chance. Brave Man's Game's not got the heart for me. He's been beaten 3 times fair and square all year. He wasn't good enough last year. I think Galopin Des Champs is probably the best performance I've seen him was last time out. So if Brave Man's Game couldn't get near him at Cheltenham last year, he's not going to get near him this year. La Homme Press looked sluggish and slow over 2.5. I thought he looked bad in the Lingfield race, actually. I thought he looked really lacklustre, and I thought Charlie Dortch should give him a really good ride to win. I don't think ring rusty, great, but they rang him back so soon. So he's had 2 hard runs after a massive layoff to then back up at Cheltenham. It's just not something I think he could do. So it's everything leads to Galopin Des Champs, really. I just fancy that Mouse Morris horse each way at a very, very big price. He wasn't that free. Was he that? It wasn't that over Christmas, was he?
Yeah, he's always been about 25-1. But as you say, when he won the Charlie Hall, connections were thrilled him. He's only a lightly raced horse.
I think he goes well fresh, and Mouse Morris is a very good trainer. That'd be my pick. And I don't think the ground would be right for Hewitt. It'll still be... if it does dry to... Like I reiterated earlier, it's so wet with us. But even if it does get to good to soft, it'll be gluey, dead ground, which will not suit horses. Not like it'll be spring, fresh, long grass. Yeah. It will be gluey, tacky ground, and that will not suit Hewitt. And good Gentleman's Game.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought Willie summed it up perfectly. The one horse not talked around it on the whole preview is Jerry Colomb. The one thing with him, I thought he thrived on his racing last year. He put in a better performance as he went on and ran, 5 times last year. I'm not sure going straight from Christmas to here it would be the right thing for him. Probably should have won the Brown Advisory last year, but I just don't think he jumps fast enough. He doesn't make mistakes at fences, but he just doesn't get quickly away from them. And I'd be slightly worried that he'd get too far behind in a Gold Cup. I just think this is Galopin Des Champs to lose. Won the race last year, should be a 3-time festival winner, was brilliant in the Savills Chase, did what he needed to last time. And I was just amazed when I actually looked up the winning distance that it was 4.5 lengths after the last, because he just cruised clear from Fast or Slow. Like the lads have said, I think he'll be bigger on the day. I think you'll get 6-4, something like that. And yeah, I'd be more than happy to back him at that price. Yeah,
I think we all agree that Galopin's the one to beat, but we'll play 2 each way. I think L'Empresse did well to win first time up, and I think it was a good idea to sharpen him up by sending him to Ascot. I think it was the wrong way round for him anyway. On ground, he is not at his best on, and I think he'll be better going back to Cheltenham on soft ground. And I think Corach Rambler, he's a two-time winner at Cheltenham. He absolutely bolted up in the Grand National. I know that he's only won by a couple of lengths in the end, but at no point in that last circuit could you call anything else other than Corach Rambler the winner. When he got to the front last year, he sprinted away from fast or slow, and then he idles, which is what he does. I could just see him running on strongly and getting a place behind a horse that's too good for him in Galopin Des Champs. But those are the two that I'll play each way in this year's Gold Cup. Let's move on and talk about the Hunter Chase. And I don't know, does anyone have a very strong view on this? Does anyone want to kick off? Steve, you've got the mic and ready to roll for the Hunter Chase.
Yeah, I'd have doubts over Fern's Lock and his stamina over the trip and on the track. The two that I'd be for me would be the new JP purchase. It's on the line for Emmett Mullins. Was beaten less than 2 lengths in this race last year as a 6-year-old. So he was inexperienced. I thought that will really put him right for this year. Went on to beat Vaucelet at Punchestown, beat Fern's Lock at Down Royal on Boxing Day. Now that Nace run last time, he wasn't straightforward at all, but they didn't have any headgear on him that day. That will definitely go on in this race. And yeah, I'd have no concerns around him staying. They were literally walking over the line. Like Ramillies actually walked over the line. So it's on the line. I thought was fairly solid at 11-4. And the other way, I'd give Billaway a chance as well. I know he's getting on a bit. He always gets beaten on his reappearance. If you go through, he's never won first time out. And that run at Nace was first time out this year. His form in this race is second, win and fell. He fell when they fitted him with blinkers last year. He hated them. They put them back on for Punchestown. He unseated Patrick. He's basically gone, take these blinkers off me. His record in cheat pieces is 5 wins and 2 seconds. And those 2 seconds were on his reappearance. So get a run into him, put some cheat pieces on, and I'm sure he'll be running on well. This is the sort of race, don't throw away your ticket, because he will be staying on well at the finish.
Willie, have you got a fancy here?
No, not really. I really like last year's winner was Bradley Gibbs.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of horses sent to us from him. He's a really good, hard-working lad. Tim taught TSEC well. We got Casanova Munto, and he supported him a lot with a lot of 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. We've had a lot of them come through him to us. I think he's a really hard-working young lad, and he won it well last year. It's for his father-in-law, so hopefully he can do his father-in-law proud again and win. No, he's a good lad. He deserves it.
All right, cheering on Premier Magic. Pat?
I think we've been given the clue, haven't we? It's on the line. JP McManus has bought the horse today. Presumably he's asked Emmett Mullins how the horse is, and presumably he's been given the thumbs up. The clues are there. He's going to go for a short price, and he was second last year. I can see him being all the rage for this race. Not a race that grabs my imagination, it must be said, but sometimes you get given the keys to the castle, and we've been given it today with the news that he's bought the horse.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chance that Sam Crow might...
Who?
You've forgotten him? Sam Crow? He could win it. Do you remember Sam Crow?
I do remember him, yeah. Back in the black and white TV days. It's on the line. If you go and look at last year's race, he travelled horrendously last year. Now, he's a brilliant jumper, but he's as lazy as sin. The last day in Nace, I backed him, and after 2 fences, he's getting the heave-ho. Now, fair enough, he's going to wear the cheap pieces this time, but last year he travelled terribly. I'd say at the top of the hill, he must have been 100 in running. He was out at the back of the television, and he ran on very well to be second. So he'll have to up his game this time in terms of travelling in the race. He's very honest. He wants to win. He jumps great, but just he's a bit lazy. So that'll be interesting to watch. Fern's Lock is the opposite. He's all show. He's out in front. He's jumps brilliant. He travels amazing. The question mark is the 3-2, but he will be, I'd say at halfway, he could be even money, and it's on the line, could be 5 or 6 to 1 in running. Hopefully he lasts out. I think he's got a good chance. The Bee Gees horse for Bradley Gibbs, Premier Magic, must have a great chance. Like, it was easily the best horse in the race last year. 6 to 1.
A few people got that.
A few people, yeah. Like the roller discos earlier. But, and Billaway, obviously, he broke my heart a couple of years ago in this race. I just love to see David Christie. He's got chinned so many times in these races in Cheltenham and Punchestown and Fairyhouse. It's just incredible. So, quite an open race. And as I said to you, it's on the line in running. It'll be interesting to watch how he travels this year.
All right, that's a look at the Hunter Chase. 2 more races to go at the Cheltenham Festival. The penultimate race at this year's festival, of course, is the Mayor's Chase. I personally think this is one of the easiest races of the whole week. I think that Dino Blue wins, and I think she wins easily because I think she's going to be better over 2 miles, 4.5 furlongs. If you look at the little bit of evidence that you've got, that's the deal for me. What do you think, Gav?
Yeah, I agree with you. 2 years ago, she ran over 2.5 miles in the Grade 1 at Fairyhouse, the Brandy Love won. And if you watch that, she wasn't as good a horse back then. She was very keen and stuff, but she flew through the line. She definitely stayed. I have no issue with the trip. Last year, she obviously jumped badly in the Grand Annual. She came back to win 2 handicaps at Fairyhouse and Punchestown, that takes fair doing. Her form this year with Phil Dore, El Fabiolo, etc. is top class for me. She's rock solid. She jumps great. She's straight. Allegory Devassi, Willie said that they changed work rider to Paul because she wasn't fit. But if you watch her first 5 jumps the last day in Naas, she jumps badly to her right. Mm-hmm. She jumped a little bit to her right last year at Cheltenham, went second in Purvey's, a really good run. But I think Dino Blue will take a lot of beating. I'm not sure whether will JP run Limerick Lace against Dino Blue or not. She obviously definitely stays. She was second in a Triton over 3 miles. But whether he runs the two of them, it's hard to tell. And I think Dino Blue is worth putting into some multiples, yeah.
All right, Pat?
Yeah, I concur with that. Dina Blue, likely winner for sure. Purely because I think she's better anyway. And Allegory, she just doesn't jump well enough to win. If she's going to give away a length at every fence, that's quite a lot of lengths to give up. Limerick Lace, I agree with Gav. Will JP run 2 in the same race? Well, he often does, doesn't he? Wouldn't rule that out. So she would have some sort of a claim. In essence, I think they'll finish in betting order in this race. I expect the favourite to be odds on and win.
All right. Is it straightforward here, Willie?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I actually really like Limerick Lace, but the same as I don't think she's got the quality of Dino Blue. And if Dino Blue turns up in her best form, I think she wins. I think it's pretty straightforward. Completely agree with Pat. I don't think the William Mullins horse jumps well enough. I think Dino Blue's definitely the best. And Willie said his little interview the other day, didn't he? After she was second, just said, she hasn't got the horse of Colin Murphy's to contend with this year. So.
I suspect that although 4 of us have mentioned Dino Blue's the likely winner, you might disagree.
Do you want one at triple figures?
Well, I mean, yes.
Pink Legend. So obviously there's going to be negative surrounding a horse that is 125 to 1 for the race. But if you look at her Cheltenham form, 2 wins, 2 places, and those 2 placed efforts came in this race. Like she was beaten half a length by Ellie May in this 2 years ago, finished 3rd in this last year behind Impervious and Allegory Devassi. Now she's been really inconsistent this season. She was stuffed at Aintree on a reappearance, then beat Galia Delato at Newbury, who's fairly solid, normally runs up to a level. She then got stuffed again at Doncaster behind Limerick Lace and then failed behind Bride's Hill, who also would have a chance here. She never, ever went a yard at Exeter last time, but that was at a stage where the Venetia Williams horses were badly, badly out of form. They've really picked up in this last week. Her last 14 runners have resulted in 5 winners, so they have turned a bit of a corner. She obviously likes the track. She's ran well in the race for the last 2 years. She's 125 to 1 ante-post or 80 to 1 no runner, no bet, and I'd give her a chance at triple figures.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I think you've made a great case for her. So why not? Yeah. You like that? You like the workings?
Yeah, I like the workings.
You don't have to get it right. You just have to do the workings.
Yeah, no, it's good, yeah. But when is the last time a 100 to 1 shot won say a Gold Cup or a Mayor's Chase? Or I'm joking.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, no, good research.
Excellent work. So one to look out for, Pink Legend for Steve Ryder in the Mayor's Chase, the penultimate race at the Cheltenham Festival. One more race to go for us to preview at this year's festival, and that, of course, is the Martin Pipe Conditional Jockeys Handicap Hurdle. Again, there are a number of interesting horses from the Willy Mullins team. Pat, just set us up for this race and tell us what the market is suggesting.
Well, there's loads of runners. There's 86 still in the race at the moment.
They won't all run, Pat, will
I
they?
wouldn't. Well, I hope they do. But we have 2 red-hot favourites, Kida Bourbon and Sama Jess for Willy Mullins. And they're both in the, I know you're good, but you could be even better than your handicap mark section. So they're very much of interest. A couple that might not get in, Waterford, Whispers and Doddy the Great, I'm not so sure they'll get in. They're 50 and 56. You can only have your eye drawn really to No Ordinary Joe. I know he's entered in another race at the meeting, but he could end up going here with the Martin Pipe. I think Freddie Gordon rides for Nicky Henderson as his conditional. And he was second in this Martin Pipe a year ago off 139. He's off 140 today. His run at Kempton, I thought, was sufficient to ask for an explanation. None was asked, none was given, but it was a step in the right direction for him. I mean, he was second in a 20-odd runner race a year ago. There's only a pound more. He looked back in business at Kempton to my eyes last time, and loads of other people's. He could be the one for me. I'd like to think someone like Freddie Gordon will get the ride. But I do accept Key de Bourbon and Samajest. They bring a good level of form, plus the unexposed potential to the table. So, as I say, it's going to be a massive field. But I can see not being a result here. But hopefully, every one of us will be in front by this race.
Yes, all of us will be in front.
Hopefully.
Steve, tell me about the winner of this race.
I just weigh in behind Pat. I thought No Ordinary Joe, like I said, for the Coral Cup. Yeah. Finished second in the race off a pound lower last year. I think it's solid. 10-1, no runner, no bet. So, yeah. Apparently lost a shoe. That was the excuse last time.
I really stopped him. Willy, what do you like here?
It's just one of those races. It's just so hard to have a bet punt now. Well, what's going to go? It seems so negative the whole time, but no one knows what's going to run until declarations. Like, you could easily back a horse that's 50 and it might miss out by one and be a reserve. No running, no bet. But I'd rather know what's running and have my bet then. I completely agree with the boy. I think Luca Morgan rode No Ordinary Joe last year when he was second. Looked like he had every chance, but like a pound higher. To be honest with you, Willie Mullins unleashes a beast in it every year. What was it? Sarda Champs, Galloping de Champs. He'll unleash a good one. Whatever his is, well spot the day. You're sure to be fancied, but you're probably taking 5-2, 5-2, 3-1, but should be probably a 6-7-1 shot in the day. So as like he stay out the traffic, as I said to you before, just get yourself home and get yourself to the local pub and have a few drinks, and don't worry about the Martin Pipe condition of jockeys race.
Gav, you won't be leaving till you've picked the winner of the last race at the festival.
I'll try my best anyway.
Thank you.
Nicky is 3 in this. No Ordinary Joe, Doddy the Great, Lucky Place. All would have squeaks depending on how his week is going and depend which ones get into it. Waterford Whispers and Answer to Cave ran against each other in Fairy House back in November time. Quick time. Waterford Whispers probably didn't get the kitchen sink thrown at him at Leopardstown at Christmas. He'd have a squeak. But Key de Bourbon off 140, I have a feeling, and I'm looking at oddschecker and things there now, is a very good website, oddschecker, by the way.
Fully endorsed.
But I see Sam Majest is drifting for the Martin Pipe, and he's getting back for the Coral Cup, so perhaps he'll go there. Key de Bourbon off 140 to me is appealing. 2 runs in France. Wins an ordinary maiden hurdle in Naas. Some of the form was the second and third not so good, but there's other winners behind. 2 miles 3, he stayed very strongly that day, and Willie's improve a lot for a run. The next day in Clonmel, he beats Westport Cove over 2 miles. Not his trip. You'll never ever see him run over 2 miles ever again. You'll see you run first over 2 miles rather than him.
I think that's unlikely, but okay.
That's not his trip. So to beat Westport Cove, who ran well since behind Tully Hill, was a good effort. He's got a rating that they got a month ago of 140. I'm told that Mikey O'Sullivan can ride in the race again this year, and if he gets to ride this horse, I'd be very happy.
Okay, that is a look at our final race of the festival. Hopefully along the way we've picked some winners, but just to focus the one winner on day 4 that you're most likely to see, Steve?
Marshbury each way in the Triumph Hurdle.
Okay, Marshbury each way. Willy, final day, best selection, best bet?
Galloping de Champs.
Galloping de Champs. Pat?
Brave Man's Game each way, probably first 4 places.
Wow, Brave Man's Game each way. I mean, I personally can't see Brave Man's Game finishing the first 5 in this year's Gold Cup, but why not? What about you?
I'll go for Key de Bourbon in the last each way at 4-1, 4 or 5 place, whatever, but I think he should win.
All right, and I'll put up Captain Teague each way in the Albert Bartlett. Well, that brings to a conclusion our preview of this year's Cheltenham Festival on Racing Weekly. This podcast and YouTube show brought to you by oddschecker in association with Bet365. Hopefully, you've enjoyed all 4 days of our previews of the Cheltenham Festival. Before we go, don't forget to leave us a kind review on Apple Podcasts on the YouTube comment section. How about a hearty round of applause for an excellent panel. Steve Ryder, Willy Twiston-Davies, Pat Cooney and Gavin Lynch. Thank you very much for joining us.